We've all been there, right? You've got that mountain of tasks, that deadline that's getting closer and closer, and somehow you find yourself doing literally anything else. In this explainer, we're not just going to talk about procrastination, we're going to completely reframe it. We'll get into why your brain does this and give you 5 powerful psychology-backed ways to finally break the cycle for good. Let's dive in.
Does this feel a little too familiar? The big project is due, and all of a sudden, alphabetizing your spice rack or watching a deep dive documentary on ancient pottery feels like the most urgent task in the entire world. It's a classic, super frustrating feeling, but trust me, you are definitely not alone in this.
Now, here's where things get really interesting. For years, we've been told this is all about being lazy or just not having enough willpower. But what if that's completely wrong? Modern psychology tells us to look deeper. Procrastination isn't some failure of your character. It's actually a strategy your brain is using to cope with uncomfortable feelings. And you know what? Understanding that, well, that changes everything. So let's start by tearing down that old, unhelpful advice. The whole just do it mindset. It fails most of the time because it completely ignores what's actually causing the problem in the first place. This slide just lays it out perfectly. The old advice tells you to basically apply more force. Just try harder, get more organized, stop being so lazy. But the real issue isn't about time management at all. It's about emotion management. Your brain isn't being lazy. It's actually trying to protect you from the negative feelings tied to whatever that task is. Okay, so let's really dig into that idea. It all comes down to feelings. You see, procrastination is fundamentally an emotional regulation problem. It's not a time management problem. So the crucial point is this. Your brain looks at a task, associates it with some kind of negative feeling, and basically says, ugh, nope, let's get a quick mood boost instead. It immediately steers you towards something more gratifying, like scrolling social media, just to avoid that discomfort. And what are those negative feelings we're talking about? Well, they can be anything from legit anxiety about the project, a deep-seated fear of failing, or just feeling insecure about whether you can even pull it off. Sometimes it's just plain old boredom or even resentment that you have to do the task at all. Your brain's response is simple. Avoid the source of that feeling. And oh my gosh, let's not forget a huge one, perfectionism. Sometimes we put things off, not because we hate the task, but because the pressure to do it perfectly is so overwhelming that doing nothing at all actually feels safer. That fear of not meeting some impossibly high standard can be absolutely paralyzing. Okay, so now that we get the why, let's get to the good stuff, the how. We're going to walk through 5 practical, psychology-based strategies you can start using in your daily life to finally break this cycle. First up, re-engineer your environment so you don't have to rely on willpower alone. You can use something called pre-commitment to make it harder to back out, like telling a friend your goal to create accountability. Another amazing technique is temptation bundling, which completely reframes how you look at the task. Here's exactly how it works. You bundle something you want to do with something you need to do. For example, you only let yourself listen to that amazing true crime podcast while you're doing the dishes. See? You're linking a reward directly to the dreaded task, which makes it instantly more appealing. Strategy number 2 is the 5-minute rule. And this one is a total game changer. The hardest part of any task is just getting started. So forget about finishing it. Just commit to doing it for 5 minutes. The goal here isn't to make huge progress. It's simply to begin. This lowers that initial emotional hurdle, and honestly, more often than not, you'll find you just keep going once you've started. Our third strategy is a little more introspective. You need to connect with your future self. We tend to offload work onto our future self without really thinking about the stress we're causing them. Instead, just take a moment. Imagine the relief and pride future you is going to feel if this thing is already done. That connection can be a seriously powerful motivator to act now for their benefit. You know when a project just feels too big and vague? That is a massive trigger for procrastination. The solution? Get it out of your head and break it down. Do a brain dump of every single thing involved, and then deconstruct that big, scary task into ridiculously small steps. And this shows you exactly what that looks like. Write essay feels impossible, but open document? You can do that. Write 1 sentence? Totally manageable. Each tiny little step feels way less intimidating and helps you build momentum without feeling so overwhelmed. And finally, this one is for all my fellow perfectionists out there. You have to give yourself permission for the first version to be just good enough, not perfect. The whole goal is to start. A messy first draft is infinitely better than no draft at all. You can always refine it later, but you can't edit a blank page.
So, the crucial point that weaves through all of these strategies is a fundamental shift in your mindset. This is not about beating yourself up, it's about understanding yourself with some compassion. I really want this to sink in. You are not lazy. Your procrastination is not some kind of moral failing. It is a very human response from a brain that's literally hardwired to avoid pain and seek pleasure. By working with your brain's tendencies, instead of constantly fighting against them, you can finally make some real, lasting progress.
So, let's end with this powerful mantra. What's one small, imperfect step you can take right now on a task you've been putting off? Because progress isn't about one giant leap. It's about all the small, consistent steps. And always remember, done is always better than perfect.